You all came highly recommended. You know the rules. No real names, no backstories, no cell phones.
So whose kid is she?
A very wealthy man who's about to be $50 million poorer.
I'm here to make sure you're safe.
What's your name? Mine's Abigail.
You can call me Joey.
Do you have any kids?
I have a little boy.
See you in 24 hours.
Do you know what a pinky promise is? If you behave and do as we say, I pinky promise you, it'll all be over soon.
Joey,
Yeah.
I'm sorry about what's gonna happen to you.
What the fuck?
Shit, we gotta get out of here.
What the fuck is that thing?
Ready?
This is Flip Flop. Before we get started, please hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoy these reviews and would like to see more. We would greatly appreciate it, and it would help our little channel grow. This week we sink our teeth into Abigail, a chilling new take on vampire tales from the creative minds of Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett. Starring Melissa Barrera and Dan Stevens, this film spins a story of kidnappers who get more than they bargained for with their supernatural captive. Will Abigail leave us thirsting for more? Does it vanish like a ghost in the night? Clutch your garlic cloves and crucifix tight for this episode of Flick Flops.
Yeah. Flick Flop. Abigail.
Flick Flops. Yeah, that's what we're
What are we
doing.
doing? What's going on there? This, let's get into some numbers. This was fun. I knew nothing about this movie, so let me throw some numbers at you right quick so we can get into this bad boy.
That's awesome.
Rotten Tomatoes, which we always use as our film critics aggregator, has this thing at the critics have it at 83 and the audience has it at 85, so that's a pretty positive review. I think everybody seems to like this film. Budget was $28 million, and box office that I could find, $41.8 million. So I made a little money. I don't even remember this movie coming out, but again, we've talked about that before. I don't know, either I'm just not paying attention or films come and go and I'm just not part of the cool kids anymore. So
Yes.
I mean, remember, it used to be a big event when movies would get released and the big build-ups and big ad campaigns. And now I think there's so many options that they're just throwing everything out and just get it out there. We'll see what happens.
It's hard to be heard through all the noise.
So. Boom. There you go. It's a quote by Gary Kelly. Stated written by Stephen Shields and Guy Busick, I think is his name pronounced. Both of these guys, Stephen Shields, I'm sorry, he's known for something called The Hole in the Ground. I don't know anything about it, but that's what he also has written. And Gary Busick worked on Scream 6.
Not to be confused with Gary Busey.
Right. Yeah. Please make sure Gary Busick. Busick. There's a tie-in here.
FEAR stands for false evidence appearing real. Okay. All right. Sorry.
That's awesome. That was awesome. That's cool. Somebody knows what that is. That's awesome. Directed by, as Gary mentioned, Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett. All of these guys, including Gary Busick, all worked on Scream, the original, and Scream 6 and Devil's Due. So there's these guys seem like they all work together and they're friends, and that's awesome.
Did you say Ready or Not?
I did not.
That movie. I remember that. I don't know if you've seen that movie or not. I remember that movie, and that was pretty good.
Okay, good. There you go. Check it out, people, if you haven't seen that one. That's the numbers for me, Gary, if you want to jump into the good and or the bad.
I didn't really take a lot of notes. I watched this movie prior to us discussing actually doing it, so I've just got check marks instead. So I've got check marks on storyline and plot, character development. To jump into, I kind of told you a little bit of the plot. I'll come back to that later during bad. Character development, I really liked the different characters in this, and I liked it unfolding a little bit about their history as the movie plays out, and you're learning a little bit about each of them as it goes. And they're all very unique in the character and these characters are all brought together to do this job, and each one just has his own kind of thing. I thought the acting and the performances were great, especially the little girl as Abigail. It's like fantastic job. I mean, she was awesome. No knock at any of that. And the direction, everything, cinematography, this I thought was great. Special effects were cool. And the set design, though. I mean, I do think that the house itself had some really cool things to it. There were some interesting, I don't want to say too much about it, but there were some cool spots in the I don't
know if you know this was shot in Ireland.
I did not know that, no.
Yeah.
So that's really kind of the quick notes. I'll let you kind of say your stuff because maybe you'll bring up some things that I didn't think of, and we can.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about this because I don't want to give anything away, but it is in the horror realm, so you can understand there's something goes south.
Let me say something then.
Yeah,
because this is important, and this is what lands in the bad column for me. I'm going to say it now because it's important for you to know. You didn't know anything going into this movie,
right?
If you see the trailer for this movie, it's given away in the trailer.
Oh yeah, don't do that.
And it was clear that it was done to get people in the seats. I just would have really liked to have seen it done in some other fashion. The edit of the trailer could have been done much different with you having not seen it, and you don't have this information. Yeah. But really, when you watch it, you know that from the trailer. And what would have been cool is if you just got a sense that there was something in the house that was affecting these people instead of the blatant showing Abigail turned as a vampire, which you do know from the trailer. So feel free to discuss that because it is not a secret. And so I just wanted to let you know that so you could feel free to talk about it.
I was going to dance around it because going into this and knowing nothing about this film,
you got to see it in the perfect way.
And I was like,
with you.
So when the turn happens, I'm like, wait a minute. Because I didn't see that coming, because when she talks about her father and when the crew finds out who her father is.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, I still don't believe I don't know that this is some kind of horror film in that aspect. I feel like this is some kind of a John Wick style where, oh, this guy's a gangster. He's going to come and just rip you people apart. Not in the sense that it happens in the movie. I was like, oh, wait a minute. And it was a pleasant surprise. I was like, oh, this is interesting. One of the notes I wrote down the turn. So when the turn happens and the one girl, I think it's this girl behind me, she just goes, no, 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 no. And she, oh, no, not her. It was the other girl running down the hallway. No, 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 no. Little touches of comic relief.
Oh,
man.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
That same girl who yells, no, no, no. And they send her in to go get garlic and she comes back with onions. And they're like, do you not know what garlic is? And I'm just like, that's well played. That's just, and it's just little things like that I think that's funny. I will say this. Now, I love horror films. I don't mind if they're gory. It doesn't bother me. I mean, again, I can defend Terrifier, and Gary will be like, you're nuts. These death scenes were fun, but if you like horror films, these are the way. This is some fun stuff. And I'll say the one little pleasant surprise for me, because again, I knew nobody going into this film, was, and I always forget how the actor's name. I think it's Giancarlo Esposito.
Giancarlo, yeah, I think so.
I think if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Gary, you can correct me in the notes here. But Gus Fring.
I don't think we're alike at all, Mr. White.
From Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. I love this guy. I didn't know who he was until I watched Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, and I love him as an actor, and I was happy to see him play a part in this movie.
Yeah.
So that's it. I mean, look, the special effects are pretty darn cool in this movie.
Yeah.
Storyline. So I'm always interested in the horror genre. There are standards: Frankenstein, Dracula, werewolf. You know, the standards of horror, and it seems like a lot of people try to make their attempt to tell the story of whether it's a monster or a vampire. And I liked this version. That again, I was lucky enough to see this and have no idea what I was walking into.
So jealous.
And it was awesome. And remember, you and Kevin both said, "Do not watch the trailer." And I was so tempted to watch the trailer. I was like, "No, don't just turn the movie on." These guys are good who made this film. I like what they do, and I look forward to whatever else they're going to come up with. They just had that bringing everybody together had a Usual Suspects feel to me.
Yeah.
Or a Reservoir Dogs, where you just don't need to know everybody's names. We're all just, you can be Paul, you can be Dean, you can be,
right.
Frankie. To me, I take that as a little nod, like, hello, good day. I'm going to a little nod to the Usual Suspects or Reservoir Dogs.
All right. Well, let's talk about the bad.
I don't have a lot of bad on. I don't actually on my notes. I have nothing bad. I just enjoyed this movie, and I didn't find anything bad in it. So
I will say the only notes I have for bad. It's the only two notes I actually wrote down, and one of them was the trailer. Dang it!
Yeah,
I just wish this movie. I am so jealous that you got to see this without knowing anything, because to me that is by far the best way to see this film. And going into it with that it just is so. I don't know how else they could do it. I do have a kind of an idea of how they could have maybe manipulated some stuff to make it work. I just don't know if their marketing was kind of like, we've got to let the secret part out, because if we don't, we're not going to get anybody to see it. And that's unfortunate, because that is probably the best part of the movie.
The argument against them, people won't come to see it, is you could say something like the Blair Witch Project going back to the 90s. We didn't know how that was going to end. We didn't know the turn in that film. And that film was a blockbuster.
Yeah, but we're also talking about different times. I mean, the state of theaters since COVID is so much different anyway. And plus, it was probably already in decline to a degree with streaming and all that. But I mean, that's a whole other a whole other thing to discuss. But the only other note that I have is I felt like the third act was a little bit long. There's a little, I don't want to talk about that part, because there is sort of a little, you could still get a little bit of surprise out of this. So there's just a few little turns there that I was like, man, it keeps turning now at the end just a little long, but it's barely a knock, because I just really thought, a friend of mine really wanted to see this movie. He kept talking about it. And I was like, I could wait till streaming. I'm not that fired up to see it, but I wish two things. I wish I had seen it in the theater. I wish I would have been able to see it without knowing about it. Because it really is a really good movie, especially if you like this kind of thing. It's horror. It's got a lot of levity to it with comedy, and it's just got, I love the heist kind of feel to it with the characters. And like you said, the Reservoir Dog kind of feel with the Usual Suspects, with the team coming together to do this thing. And I loved all of that. I really enjoyed it. And,
I agree.
So let's move on to, let's just roll right into it. A quick reminder that our rating system is unconventional. We don't hand out stars, we hand out poos and TPs, up to 5 of them. And just to add more confusion, the more we give, the crappier we think the film is. Crappier, get it? Yeah, it's dumb, but that's the way we do it. I gave this movie 1 TP. I couldn't go lower than that, just because I have to have a little bit of accountability for that ruining the secret. But other than that, man, I really think this was, if this is your thing, you'll really enjoy this movie.
My rating on Scary, I echo you, man. I give this 1 poop. This thing was enjoyable. I would recommend this to anybody. If you are any part of you enjoys horror films, you know, my better half would never watch this in a million years. My daughter Alex would watch this, and I told her when I was watching this, I was like, "You need to watch this movie."
Yeah,
she's like, "Yeah." I was like, go find a way to watch it. It's fantastic. It's very well done. These guys are good at what they do, and I applaud them, and I look forward to, like I said, whatever else they do next. Is
on the note of horror, if you look at like Nightmare on Elm Street when it first came out, I distinctly remember that was a terrifying idea. That was, especially our age, seeing that. And I don't know if you recall this. I saw the second one in the theater. Pretty sure it was the second one, where at the beginning, Freddy's driving a bus. As soon as he's on screen, the theater erupts in cheering to see Freddy on screen. And that was a turning moment for me in horror film watching, where it's not that you're rooting on the bad guy so much. It's that you're having fun watching it.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's terrifying and they're scary and you go out of there with like chills or whatever. And then there's watching a movie that has all those horror elements, but it's fun. And I thought that's what this was. It was a lot of fun. I just really, here I am going on more about it, but I want to make that point that I just feel like it was a fun movie.
It was a fun ride.
It was.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Well, anything else, Andrew?
No, if you have any like of horror films, you'll like this movie. It's very well done. I would think. I'm surprised Rotten Tomatoes isn't a little bit higher.
Yeah,
but, it's fine.
Well, thanks everybody. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know if you saw Abigail. And do you agree with us? Let us know in the comments.
You do.
No, you do.
This has been a Touch of Madness production, brought to you by the creative minds at Tommy Twins Media.